Phyllis Wallbank.
I don't know whether to say hello in English or hi. It's lovely to see you all, and thank you so much for giving me the honour of coming. Can you hear okay? Yeah. I want, of course, to start, first of all, to say thank you to Father Simon for putting me up and for putting up with me. Thank you. And especially also, of course, to Patty Price, who is the most wonderful organizer, because to get Montessorians of different flavours together is a miracle. Wonderful. Lovely to be here. This is what Montessori wanted, to go forward together to show the world how children really need to be able to develop themselves. I want to thank, of course, also my very good friend, Brother Dunstan. Thank you. And dear David Fleischacker, who we've discovered, although our ages are so very different, that it must be a soul friendship. And thank you, all the people who are here today. Now, yes, Montessori, the past, present, and future. I'm going to read it. Normally I don't read a script, but I've put together some pictures for you. So I must stick to it, more or less, so that Sean, who's another good friend, can read it. I'm very glad, of course, to be able to come here to pay tribute to this very, very great genius, whom I had the greatest honour to know and to follow. Now, I have a copy of this lecture, free, you'll be glad to know, for each one of you, so that you don't need to take notes. Because this is a marathon this morning, really, much too long to listen to, but I want to give you all that I know and believe. So I've got to do 2 hours, really. You'll have a break, you'll be glad to know, in between. But so help me by coming with me on this journey. A journey into the past, but also the present, and above all, the future for our children's world. There are so many wonderful things that Dr. Montessori observed, understood, used, and explained. I was so very lucky to know her well in the last decade of her life. I was trained by her and became a friend. She asked me to start the AMI training in Britain, and I had the very great thrill of examining for her and actually with her in the UK and in Ireland, and to be with her in France, Austria, and Holland. Now, there are many different training organizations in the world, and just like the uniqueness of people, each training is unique, and each training has therefore something fine and unique to give. We're not really in opposition, except financially, probably. None of them are the same, but each one brings out a different, important aspect of her work. I had the honour of staying with her in her home with Mario, her son, and Ada, wife, in their lovely house in Amsterdam, and also in their seaside home in Noordwijk and in Austria and in England. Oh, good, it's happening. What then was this woman like, who changed the world for so many children into a gentler, and kinder environment. She herself was not all that gentle. She was with children, but I've seen her when she's been speaking. She spotted a student with her eyes shut after a hard day's work. It was in the evening, and she banged the table with all her force to wake her up with a terrible start. She was first and foremost a scientist, driven by what she could see was the truth of how every single human being develops. Children were her scientific laboratories, and fate, or God, gave her different cultures and economic strata to observe. She was the very first woman doctor to hold a chair of medicine in Italy. She chose to leave Italy because of Mussolini. She went to Germany, but left because of Hitler. She stayed in France, Austria, and England. I left out that she visited America, meaning to find out which year she did. So, although it's missing in my script that you'll have, she did visit America. And she visited Spain, which I also missed. She went to India by invitation and loved this country. And later, because England was at war, the English declared that she was an enemy alien and put her under house arrest. But you see, she was meant to be driven from country to country, because she then saw all the children of these different nationalities and cultures, and she saw the inner development of all. This was a good thing, because she had the opportunity to observe that we all have the same very distinct stages of development. Her greatness was that not only did she see these stages, but she showed how to feed them and work with man's nature and not against it. She knew that the whole world would benefit if she could make people see. Maria Montessori said, and I quote, "If we fulfill these fundamental needs for each stage of development, we form the souls of humans as they are meant to be." Good. She was served so well by her son Mario, who gave his life to help her with her vital message. He was her translator. He was her son, we understood, her real biological son. But because of that particular age, she couldn't have him with her, and so had him looked after and later adopted him as her son. She was very vital, totally dedicated to her message. She was always surrounded by an adoring group of followers. She must have been very attractive when she was young, because there were many men who absolutely adored her. And in the case of two men I knew very well, Mortimer Standing, dear Ted, who stayed in our house and taught at my school, and Claude Claremont, who translated The Absorbent Mind. They gave up very promising careers just to follow her. They were a little bit jealous of each other, but they were both very, very good to me and shared their knowledge with me. There were all these admirers surrounding her, showing love and admiration, but she found it very often very irksome and said, "Do you know, I point at this wonderful view and they look at my finger and say, 'What a beautiful finger.'" When I stayed with her in Holland, I realized she was then very old, how terribly lonely she was. Here she had the most luxurious surroundings, because Mario